here we go. I'm going to try to show you how to solve an equation using a calculator. The calculator we have in class that we're using is the TI-84 plus C. And here's our equation that we're going to put in and we're going to use, and we're going to solve it on the calculator. So first of all, everybody needs to turn on their calculator. And then I want you to, to solve anything, we always graph it. So before I graph it, I'm going to reset my window on my graphing. So I hit the zoom button and I go down here to where it says number 6. I'll show you, I'll scroll down here, number 6, and it says Z standard, and that's going to reset my X and Y axis. Alright, so now that I've got that done, I'm going to graph. Anytime I want to graph, I want to go to y equals. If you'll see there, I have y1 is blue, y2 is red, so I'm going to color code my equations just like that. I'm going to make the left side y1, I'm going to make it blue there, and I'm going to circle the right side in red, y2. So I'm going to put my left side in the calculator, and to do that, first of all, it's a 3/4 in, so to do that I got to put in a fraction. So hit the math button, and then you're going to scroll over to where it says frac, and at the top it says n/d, and that's going to give you your fraction. And my equation is 3/4, so I have to arrow down to get to the bottom, and then I need to arrow over to get out of the fraction. Then the next thing is I'm going to always, instead of an N, I'm going to use an X, and it's the X next to the green alpha button. And I'm going to put plus 16. And then I'm going to put my right side in Y2. And it is 2 minus, and I'm going to do my fraction again. So I hit the math button. I go over to frac, and it's N over D. And it is 1 over 8, and I need to arrow over to get out from underneath the fraction, and I put in my X. Alright, now I'm going to hit the graph button and get a general idea of what it looks like here. Alright, now to find the solution to this equation, I need to know where these two lines cross. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my window here. I'm going to see where it says -10 and +10. I'm going to make it bigger than any number I have out there. So -25, +25. That means my x-axis is going to go from a -25 to a +25. And I'm going to do the same thing with my y-axis. I start out with numbers a little bit bigger than what's in my problem, and if those aren't big enough, I keep changing them until when I hit the graph button, I can see both lines and I can see where they cross. Alright, so now I can see where my lines cross. So now to find the solution and solve this on the calculator, I need to find the intersection of these two lines. It's like where two roads cross. They cross at an intersection and two lines cross at an intersection. So I want to do second, the trace button right here next to graph. And if you'll look at number 5 there, it says intersect. So you can either hit the button 5 or scroll down to 5. And what you're going to do is you're going to hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And right there, let's see if we can get it to where you can see it real well. It says intersection is -16. That is your x coordinate. When it says x equals there at the beginning, that is your solution. X equals -16. So that's your solution to this equation. You can check it by plugging it in and seeing if it works, or you can go to, another way to check it numerically is go second and graph, which pulls up a table. And if you look at my table here, you can scroll up and down as far as you want to go in the positive, negative direction. And since I got a -16, I'm going to show you what happens up here at -16. One more. Alright, if you'll notice, I had different numbers all the way up until I got to -16. When I got to -16, my y1 was 4, my y2 was 4. Anytime that you look at your table and you solve an equation this way. You're looking for the x value where your y1 and your y2 are the same. So if you can see, 4, 4, so that means my solution here is negative 16. This will be the only time in the y1 and y2 column that they have the same number. It'll be at your solution. So the answer to this problem is negative 16. So you would just write down x equals negative 16. All right, got 2 more examples I want to show you what they look like on the calculator. All right, our next one is 3 times 1 plus d minus 5 equals 3d, that over, minus 2. We're going to do the same thing we did a minute ago. We're going to put the left side in y1 and right side in y2. All right, we're going to put them in exactly like they were. And once again, I'm going to hit zoom and go down to number 6, standard, and reset my window. And I always do that before I graph. And this will slow me down a little bit since I had another equation in there. It might be a good idea to clear your equations first, which I'm going to do now. I'm going to hit y equals to put my 2 equations in. And I'm going to clear the old equations out there. You just scroll down and hit the clear button. And I'm going to put in the left side, 3 parentheses, 1 plus, and I have to use x next to the alpha button, close parentheses, minus 5. And I'm going to put the other side in, 3x minus 2. And watch how it happens with this graph when I hit the graph button right here. The first equation always comes up first, and there's my first one, the left side, it's blue. Now watch what happens when the right, see how it's changing the blue to red? It's actually the same line. You only get one line on there. When it goes in and changes your first line to a different color, what that means is all real numbers. Your solution is all real numbers. What it means is these are the same line. So anything that solves one is going to solve the other. Another way you can tell by looking at this, if you go to the table, second, and table, you'll look in all the way, doesn't matter how far you go in either direction, your y1s and your y2s are the exact same number all the way up and down. That means every number satisfies it. So this is what it would look like if you had all real numbers as your solution. All right, let's try another one. Last type we're going to do. So you have 4 times f minus 2 equals 4f. That's our last example. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Left side in y1, right side in y2. So I'm going to put those in the calculator. So first of all, I think it might be a good idea if I clear and clear y equals to graph. And I'm going to put in the left side, which is 4 parentheses. Remember I used the x next to the green alpha button, minus 2, close parentheses. Then I'm going to go down to y2, and I'm going to put in my right side. And watch what happens when I hit graph this time. So there's my first line. Here's my second line. Sort of look like parallel lines, don't they? Just to make sure that they are, I'm going to go to my window. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. Negative 50, positive 50. And negative 50, positive 50. And when I hit graph, there's my first line. Let's see, and there's my second line. They still don't cross each other. And really with these two, no matter how big you make your window, the lines are never going to cross, because look what happens when I try to find the intersection. Remember, it's second, trace, and I go down to number 5, which is intersect, and I hit enter 3 times. And this time I get an error, and it says no sign change. What happens, or what that means is, these lines are never going to cross each other. So when that happens, and you better make sure you make your window bigger and double check before you go with this answer. But here's what happens. It means your answer is no solution. And another way to check is to look at your table again. Second, and then graph. Whoops, I gotta quit first. So second, graph. There's my table. And you can look at these numbers here. No matter how far up or down I go, my Y2 and my Y1 are never going to be the same. That's because there's no numbers that solves this equation. So my answer is no solution. Alright, so one last thing to recap. I'm going to write down the steps here. So first of all, to solve on a calculator, you want to you're going to graph, so you go to y equals. You're going to put your left side in y1. You're going to put your right side in y2. And then you're going to hit on the calculator second and trace. And you're going to go to intersect. And then after that, you're going to hit enter 3 times. And whatever it says x equals, that's your solution. Just remember, you have to see where those lines cross on the graphing window. And you can also hit second and graph on your calculator, and you can look at the table. And in the table, you're looking where y1 equals y2. Whenever you find the same numbers in both that column, that means whatever x equals is your solution. And that's how you solve an equation on the calculator.